So back at the beginning, I had a very rough concept of what I wanted to make. My idea was very clear in that regard. But, the piece itself, it started rather on an off note because I wasn't quite sure on how to do the perspective. And I struggled with it a lot, as you'll be able to see. So I thought, these walls, I'm gonna take a while to nail them, so let's just do the characters first. And here I am just experimenting with negative space and the lighting, just some rim lights to add emphasis. From the very first concept, I wanted it to be a sunset scene. So it helped a lot to keep this very minimalistic, with the very small set of colors. So I nailed the characters very quickly, and then I was able to put them in the wall to see how it looked. But, the straight stones weren't doing it for me, and I just hated how this looked. So I started doing the wall by hand. Some freehand to see if it looked better. At first, I hated this. Like, I just couldn't get it working. And at the end, I just go back. Just redo all over. I took a little bit to try and get this working. I really wanted this to work, and I did some other things. But in the end, I just went back to the freehand that I did previously. And I started adding a little detail to it just to see how it looked. And I ended up liking it a lot more than I did initially. I don't know if it was the little details or I don't know what I did, but I ended up just liking it a lot better than I did at first. So I had that working for me at least. So here I'm just adding a few details, putting on some rim lighting on the hair of the characters, which I ended up removing. But here I just increased the size of the piece to get a better composition. And here I am just extending the wall just so the composition would be kept. With the increased size, I had to increase the size of the wall. Otherwise, it wouldn't look so good. So here I am just adding small details to the wall just to keep with what I had on the initial stones that I did. And after this, that's when I decided that it was time to animate. I had a very clear idea that I wanted just the hair to be animated. So I created a new layer for it and used a different color just to get the shape right. I was going to paint it with the dark color no matter what, but this allowed me to see and to animate a little better, just to see the shape and everything. I started with the left side character. As you can see here, I was using a small tool from the program that allows me to onion skin. So onion skin, with onion skin, you can see the animation frames right before and right after the one you're in, and you get a better sense of how the animation flows. And it helps a lot on these types of movements because you can do in between frames with ease. You just see how it was and how it should be on the next frame, and then you kind of put the middle between those two. So there's a lot of pushing and pulling involved here. I just wanted the hair waving to look good, and I actually nailed it pretty quickly. So after doing the left side character, I just started working on the right side one. And the bangs, I just did them first because, it's just a little line, so it wouldn't take a lot of work. And then I started working on the ponytail. And the ponytail was a huge struggle. I don't know if it was because of the scalp, since it wasn't a huge mass of hair like the left side character, but it took a lot of tries to make right. The waving of the hair just wasn't going exactly as I wanted it to look. And sometimes it just didn't look right. So as you can see, I ended up Sometimes I ended up scratching whole frames after doing them. I just scratched them because I just didn't look how the hair was flowing. It was a huge struggle to get right. But in the end, I think I got something, good out of it. But it certainly took a lot of tries. I don't know. I guess it was just the way that the hair was attached to the body. It didn't lend itself as well to, flowy animation and, setup, I guess. So after a lot of pushing and pulling, I finally got something that I was happy with. I was just, I ended up redoing a lot of frames in this, as you can see. But I was quite happy with it when I finished, and it just looked good. But it took a long, long time to get there. The biggest problem was, as I said, the waving. Like, the waving wasn't just going well. But after a few tries, I actually managed to rein it in, and just a few pixels here and there, and it looked good, and I liked it. So I started coloring it with the colors from the characters. And at first I wanted to have some little rim lighting. As you can see, I'm trying to do that here. But I thought, I wanted the focus to be the characters from the very beginning. But the rim lighting was the highlight to the body. But I didn't think that adding that to the hair would benefit, because the hair was already animated. And it was already calling attention to itself. So I ended up, the rim lighting was just too much. So I ended up removing it and just letting the hair just be a big mass of dark color. And I think it worked out better. And here you can see I'm trying to do the background. And the people on the stream, as I was doing this, told me to do a little forest. But the sea is a recurrent theme with these characters. So after a lot of time to think about it, I decided, let's do a little beach. Castle by the beach sounds like a cool concept. And here you can see that I'm just trying to make some small waves. Something very simple. I think it gets the job done. It's simple, but it does its job well. I was trying to shade some dunes on the beach, but I ended up just thinking it would just add a lot of noise, so I ended up just not doing it. And then I started to do the clouds, and the clouds was something that I struggled with a lot. I can't draw clouds to save my life. And I tried a lot. As you can see, I did some clouds here and there. I did small clouds, big clouds. I was trying to keep up some composition. I wanted it to have a little rim lighting, so it would be a little more moody. But the more I looked at them, the more I thought that they just looked like holes in the sky. So I just ended up scrapping everything, and I just wasn't going to have it. I was looking at some pictures of sea horizons, and some of them had these sorts of clouds, like some very scattered, very dispersed clouds that just joined together at the horizon. And using the scatter tool, I was able to do that very quickly. So here I am just making the text. The text was something that I thought along with the concept art. So it wasn't as difficult. I ended up changing a little bit from what I had. The concept, after all, is just a small idea. So I did a very small text, just to keep up with the pixel art aspect of it. The E is something that I struggle with a lot on these types of fonts that I create for these pieces, but well, in the end, I guess it does its job well. So this is the final piece. This is how I did it, and this is how it ended up looking. So thank you so much for watching. I'll get the links for you to see more about this piece down below, and I hope you enjoyed and learned something from this. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time!